Good morning. Today we're going to try to fix these old space heaters I dug out of the trash. I have no idea why, but that's what we're going to do today. Good morning and welcome to another Memphis Monday. Memphis Monday 348, our 7th year, 36th week. Today we're going to try to fix a couple of old space heaters. I think they're in pretty bad shape, so I may have to take the parts from one and put them together and see if I can make one good one. Now don't ask me why. You know, these space heaters, I don't recommend ever using them. They put out carbon dioxide in whatever space you're trying to heat. They're also generating a lot of moisture and humidity. I suppose they might be good in, you know, some kind of a desert climate or something, but certainly they're not recommended. They're actually outlawed some places. But anyway, I like to fix things, and my buddy had these two. He's about ready to throw them away, and I said, well, let me try to fix them, because I like to fix stuff. So it's the only reason we're doing it, for no practical or good reason. Well, let's knock off that chit-chat and all the philosophy and get to work. I think the first thing I'm going to do is take these screens off here. Fact is, if your only problem is touching this thing and getting burnt, with these heaters, that's the least of your worries. But I'll take these safety screens off, and then we can begin to do some disassembly and assessment of how bad shape we're in. I'm going to cut out the middleman on taking this screen off. They got these little rusty clips and stuff here. They're impossible to get off, so I'm just cutting it off. I think. Well, I'm trying to take these things apart. The problem is all the fasteners are rusted. So the theory is here I'm gonna drill through this bolt, this screw, and then use an easy out to put down in there and screw it out. Seemed like those things never work, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Well, the easy out didn't work. They never do. I don't know why I thought it would this time. What I'm doing here is I'm just taking a chisel and hitting this bolt at an angle. These are the wick mechanisms that operate the wick. I'm cleaning them up, get all the sludge off of them, and I'll show you how they work. I don't really need to even clean these, but you don't even see them. They're inside the machine, but they're inside the heater. But since we're going to all the trouble to fix this thing, might as well make it look pretty. Speaking of looking pretty, the plan is to paint both of the heaters this heat-resistant black color. This is the rattle can I'm using. It's made for high heat. Now that doesn't mean you can get red hot, but it does mean get up to a few hundred degrees. But before I can paint it, I need to get this rust off of it. And I'm doing that a couple of ways. Of course, I'm using a wire brush. Now, this is the piece I'm worried about. You can see it's totally eaten up by rust. It's got that real jagged edge right along here. And it's still, this is the bottom ring, and it kind of works, but what I'm going to do is put it on the oscillating drum sander and trim it back till it's flush so it doesn't look so bad. Came out here and I told a story about why I was fixing these. She said I was stupid. Can you imagine that? Just because the guy I'm fixing them for was going to throw them away, didn't even want them fixed. He told me, even if they were fixed, he'd probably never use them. Maybe if there's any psychiatrists in the chat, you can tell me what the what the mental illness is that causes people to want to fix things, even if they're have no use. Paint stuff, I got to go over it with a degreaser. Of course, I got to get this is the degreaser I'm using, WD-40 brand. I already did a test piece, and this the paint I'm using will stick to this. I thought it was ceramic or something that wouldn't stick, but it does stick. These are little observation windows that go in there like that. They're pretty rusty, but I don't have any replacement. So I'm going to try to, as gently as I can, get some of the rust off of them. Well, I got everything primed with that rust inhibiting paint. Now this is the heat, the high heat. It says it resists temperatures up to 2,000 degrees. How many of you believe that? But I think the sides of this thing probably don't get up, over, 300 or 400. So I think this is probably a perfect match. Well, I got the parts painted. Now we'll look at this wick mechanism. I cleaned it up a little bit with some solvent. How it works is it's got this little handle, and the springs look pretty good in here. What you do is you you crank the wick up with this thing, and it's got this little thing with spikes, this ring on the inside, little spikes that hold the wick, and it pulls the wick up, and then you can yank the whip down. You hit this little button right here, but it also has this little tilt switch that if the thing gets over on its side or something, it'll yank that wick down. And when you install these wicks, how it works is the wick goes in here, and we'll do this later, but it goes in here like this, and you press it into the sides of the wick mechanism, and then it slides over the little combustion tower. I painted this thing, I was really careful. I put this plastic bag over this combustion chamber here, because that combustion chamber has to be smooth or the wick won't slide down over it. So I had to make sure that was clean. I can even put a little oil on it. So when you install the wick, I don't know if it's supposed to be up or down, probably down. And you want this colored side to be on the outside, because it's got little spikes on the inside here. I don't know if you can see them. See the little spikes? Those dig into this fabric here, and so that the mechanism can lift it up and down. So let's see if we can position it. I can kind of feel it clicking as those little prongs dig into it. Here I'm putting the little thumb screws in that hold this wick unit in. what this is, but this is the part that was rusted out so bad. I don't see any screws to hold this in. I think it's when you put this in, when you put this thing in, this kind of locks that down. That's my theory. I got the top on there. I put some new fasteners in. Remember, we had a problem getting those fasteners out. I put a new handle on because the old handle was missing. It didn't have to be as big as the old handle anyway, because we don't have that screen around there. I kept the directions and stuff. And importantly, I put hinges here, and I'm not going to paint them. I put hinges here on this little door, because this door was held on with a little piece of this tiny little piece of wire here. And they were looking at the other door. You know, there were little holes here for that wire to go through to hold that door on. Well, that's not going to last. Obviously, it didn't last. So, I put the 10,000 year guarantee here. I'm not going to fix the self-starter. You want to start it, just reach in here, lift up the burner, put your fire in there, start right up. Okay, let me put the other one together and we'll be done. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 348. Now tell me the truth, you didn't think this black was going to work, did you? But I think they came out. I think they came out perfect. We fixed the doors, fixed all the rust, replaced the wicks, cleaned up all the mechanism, replaced the handles. I think if they're ever needed, they're going to be ready. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 348. I think it's more of an art project than a real project. I didn't put any kerosene in there because those things may sit for 4 or 5 years in a shop before they're ever used. You know, they're you know, my buddy told me he didn't even know if he'd ever used the darn things. He didn't ask me to fix them. I asked him if I could fix them. I told my wife the story and she told me I was nuts. So anyway, I still think they turned out awful good. It's an awful enjoyable project, and the black just turned out great. So I'm happy about that. Okay, like, favorite, share, all the stuff you do on the internet. Most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.